So I left BIS in about 2006. I moved back to the UK. I studied for 2 years in the sixth form, and I went to Manchester University, got my degree, and moving on from that, I've been working down in London. So if anybody knows me very well, you'll pick up that on my grade 8 report sheet, this was actually a self-assessment. I could do with being a little bit more organised. I think Katie may testify to that. We just keep going through. Manchester. I'm going to come back to this a little bit later on. It's very easy for me to show you pictures like this. I never put it in a sort of Instagram frame to show you the sort of the success points, the easy points. And it's very easy to look at that and see, Stuart's just gone out and got a BDS. He's smiling. He's having a good time. It looks like it was easy. That doesn't mean it was easy. It was definitely a difficult 5 years, but we'll go through it. So this is where I am now. I'm working just outside of London. The work that I'm doing now, it does push the boundaries in terms of, with us being a new super speciality within dentistry, I am the youngest clinician doing what I'm doing in the UK at the moment. So going back to things like Phil said earlier, don't let anybody say you can't do something. I've had that said to me a few times. I was on a vocational training course for the NHS. If anybody's had dental treatment in the UK, been to an NHS dentist, you understand a lot of it's done in the NHS, a lot of it is subsidised, which is a brilliant system. But actually for me, working in that system, I was being told to treat people in a way that I didn't feel was right. The reason I chose to do dentistry from a young age was because I've always liked the idea of helping people. I used to have this sort of fascination with reading first aid books. And I knew I either wanted to be a dentist or a doctor, and somehow bring that to life. If we go forwards. So this is what I'm doing. It's full arch rehabilitation. I try. If we say this chap's lost all of his teeth, he can't get by with normal dentures, we come in and we place dental implants. So these dental implants placed in one day, 6 in the top, 4 in the bottom, and the prosthetic units that go on top are designed over a period of 7 days. So within 7 days, somebody can go from being essentially a dental cripple to having fully functioning teeth. And the point here is having functioning dental teeth. We'll go through all of this fairly quickly. I just wanted to give you an impression of what I was doing. So this is just some CAD/CAM software that I'm using to help present my cases and help plan my cases. A lot of it is all digital now, so I can use this with a 3D printer to go through and work out exactly where I want to put my implants. It's things like this that mean I can promise better outcomes for my patients. So we go through. So this is where a lot of you are going to look at this and say, that's foreign to me. So if you look at this image on the top right, implants in the gum, not particularly nice, but this is a profile prosthesis that sits down on top of that. As a surgeon, we have a slightly different custom to blood. I'm working with it every day. I showed this to Katie earlier and she said, it's okay. It just about got the all clear. So this is just an implant going in. Now, when a dental implant sits into bone, the miracle isn't actually anything to do with the dental implant. It's dental titanium sitting in bone for a period of time, allowing your bone to fuse to it. And actually the building blocks for new bone are in your blood. So the blood, the red stuff, is the most important part of putting an implant in. There isn't too much of it here. That's all it is, just going into the bone. So why are we doing this? This is all about quality of life for my patients. So we'll go through. So no patient has ever come to me and said, you know those screws that are just on that last side, can I have 6 of them in my top jaw? People are coming in because they need better quality of life. They need to be able to go out and eat food. They can't go out and constantly worry about what they can and can't eat. So to the future. So what does it involve for me? I'm doing a lot of work at the moment into potentially putting chips in dental implants, things like that. So things like the Fitbit. I've got a Garmin watch at the moment that tracks how much exercise I'm doing, what work I'm doing. We're looking into the potential of putting chips in those bars that you saw earlier, so I can monitor how many times you've chewed or what sort of things you're eating. The biggest thing is really drug delivery. So in the future, we can control which drugs you take by a prosthesis that's in your mouth, and we can remove it and replace it as we need to. So how did I really get here? So being the youngest clinician doing this sort of line of work in the UK, I wanted to sort of just go over, it's not always easy. Going through BDS, if you go back to my first slide, being more organised perhaps may have helped me. There were a couple of points where I had meetings, little slaps on the wrist to say, come on Stu, this really needs to take up a bit more of your time. University for me, and this comes back to a little bit about what we were saying earlier, I really used it as an opportunity to have a good time but experience life. I had a lot of jobs whilst I was at university, and if there was anybody here that was going to university, I would say yes, think about getting a job whilst you're there, but make sure it's a job that adds value to your final, whatever it is that you're planning to become and to do. So I had jobs like working in a bar, that's customer facing, looking after people. I had jobs working in shops, I was off ski instructing, I did lots of other things whilst I was there. So I'm not special in terms of how I've got here, but I have been relatively lucky. But I do believe that you make your own luck as well. Coming back to Angela's talk she'd just gone over, and seeing those injuries on the CAT scan and understanding what she's gone through, seeing the bruising, seeing how long it's taken for her to recover, it was really moving seeing what she's come through there. In life, you have to be dedicated to whatever it is that you want to do. So Henry earlier mentioned climate control, looking after the environment. These are very, very important topics. And if I wasn't pursuing a career here, those are the sort of things that I want to be doing. So, one of the reasons when Katie said, come back to BIS and give us all a talk, I jumped at the idea because I thought when I was actually here at BIS I had this really skewed idea of what I wanted out of life, and actually when you're a student here you can't really see past the point of leaving BIS. You know that you're in this environment and you just think I'll go out and get a job, but actually there's a lot more to it than that. You've got to go out, you've got to get your job, and then actually the job is just really the beginning. It's very much, my BDS is my license to practice dentistry. There's a commitment for me to go out and learn at every opportunity. So this was initially what I had, what I believed was the recipe for success. I believed, and in fact, I recall sitting in Spanish lessons with a guy called Senor Lopez, and I used to write Aston Martin DB9 on the back of my hand, just to give me some encouragement to keep on learning. So this is something Richard Branson said, and Steve Jobs says it as well, you really have to love what you do. Now, I didn't always love dentistry as much as I do now. I wouldn't always have come here to give a presentation on full arch rehabilitation. I've sort of found myself in this environment because it gives me an opportunity to treat people the right way. And I mean, those treatments you saw earlier, people do really need them. They're not cheap. They do cost quite a lot of money. But the biggest exchange that I experience when I'm doing a consult with a patient isn't the fact that, all right, it costs this X amount of money outside when you leave. It's the exchange of trust. And putting everything that I can into that, I really have to be dedicated to what I'm doing. Work really does have to become something that I enjoy. And I think for everybody down here, I could see how much they just enjoy what they're doing all the time. Because you can't persevere with something that you don't enjoy, you don't love. A friend of mine he's a maxillofacial surgeon, and he broke his left hand 4 weeks ago playing football. If he didn't love what he was doing, I think he might have given up. Other people would have given up. I've got another friend of mine, I was going to say, if anybody was going into finance, he works at Goldman Sachs in London, and he gets about 2.5 to 3 hours sleep at night in busy weeks, which is unbelievable. But they have this dedication to the cause. And something that I've noticed in my colleagues and friends who've done exceptionally well after leaving university is this dedication to whatever their cause is. It's not necessarily the smartest blokes I knew or the most outgoing blokes. It's the guys that are really dedicated to whatever it is that they want to do. So, when I was studying dentistry, you get a bit of free time and you start sitting around, and I remember writing down on a piece of paper, what is it that I'm here for? I'd just come to university, I told my mum that I wanted to be a dentist, and the night before I went I sort of freaked out and said, I'm a spontaneous guy, do I really want to sit down for 5 years and just do this and then have the rest of my year planned out as a dentist? But Epicurus, a Greek philosopher, famously talks about you should never ever eat alone. So he's bringing a sort of social aspect. I mean, one of the reasons I find philosophy quite interesting is because it's these guys that are experiencing the same problems we have now, but they experienced it 2,000 years ago. So he said you should never eat a meal alone, you should always eat it with friends. But more important than what you're eating is actually who you sit down with to eat. I just think that's a very valid statement to carry with us today. So life is a journey, not a destination. I love a lot of Ralph Emerson's quotes. He has some brilliant things to say. But I saw this and I just thought, is life really a journey? Is that the best analogy to use? It gives this idea that we're looking for the destination, we're expecting the end. Actually, it's more of an art form. It's more music or dance. We don't watch dance expecting just to see the end, do we? We don't go to a concert to watch the last 30 seconds. We go there to experience the whole entirety of it. And with that, I mean, life isn't necessarily a journey. It's more of, there's more to it than that, and we're here to experience it all the time. I think one of the problems with going off and going to uni and coming through school is you're always looking for the next thing. So I was always looking for, okay, grade 1, grade 2, get these grades, and I get these good grades, I'm going to get into grade 6, and then I can go do physics, and I can do maths. But actually, you do all that and all that and all that, and then you get to university, the one that you wanted to go to, and then you get your degree and you think, I've got it now. But you've got to keep learning. It doesn't end there. So you've got to approach everything more as there's more to the everyday than just in the journey. So this is Alan Watts. He's responsible for introducing Eastern philosophy to the West. And he's got a really interesting video that I just wanted to end on.
So I always ask the question, what would you like to do with money when I want you? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we like to be painters, we like to be poets, we like to be writers, because everybody knows you can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. To bring up their children to do the same thing, so it's all wretched and no profit. It never gets there. And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question, what do I desire?
That was just to articulate the point that you can do anything you really want to do. A little bit like we were saying earlier, don't accept no for an answer, and don't let your world be sculpted by monetary values and things like that, because you can't work hard for money all the time. It just doesn't work. You can't push yourself if money is the only objective. But that is it, really. Thank you.